Good morning and welcome. This is a start of a brand new week, and we are very excited to have you join us today. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. We'll be starting off today with our newspaper headlines, just to let you in on everything that we have going on right there. And right after that would be our main conversation also for today. Please do well to be part of what we do. You can always find and reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. We're very honored to have with us today Sheson Okunwade. He is a chartered accountant and equally a public affairs analyst. Good morning to you, Sheson.
Yeah, good morning, Aaron. Good morning to all our viewers across the globe.
Thank you.
It's a great way to start the week with you.
Very well. All right, let's start today with interesting stories coming from the Vanguard newspaper. A litany of them, actually. Like stories like hardship insecurity worsening in Nigeria, Catholic bishops. Of course, there's no gainsaying about that. EFCC secures 4,111 convictions, biggest asset recovery in 2024. Rivers suspends as Fubara summons pro-week lawmakers for peace talk. At 99, all I want for Nigeria is unity, good governance. Taiwo Yakasai. Yes, but let's take a look at the big story here. Paradise Lost. That was the sub-team there. How Unity Schools crashed from glory to honor. Have a couple of writers there. Schools lack basic facility, classrooms, hostels overcrowded. Outbreak of diphtheria hit King's College in Lagos. PTA teachers earn 40,000 naira in Unity Schools. Can you believe that, gentlemen? And we defecate in bush, and that's coming from the students of Unity Schools. Mr. Sheson, help us. Let me even start with, how is your old school like?
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Like I always make that assertion, some of us don't have the privilege of attending private school. So I attended public school, which I'm always proud of, Jota Secondary School. Very close to the new garage. A lot of people will say, no wonder you have some exhibit of you cannot just have it free, whichever way, even though you can. I will give kudos to the late former governor of Lagos State, Lateef Jakonde, who gave that privilege. We have opportunity of having free education, and public school was just an enroll into where somebody can be and make things happen. So that's a privilege a lot of us had, because we came from a very humble background, and it would have been impossible for us to have access to education if not for him. But a lot of people today will allude to the fact that they try to emulate what those founding fathers are, and this report affirms that they are keeping distance from it as it's supposed to be. My old students, my old school, if you ask me, we've been given support as alumni of that particular school, knowing fully well that the school groomed us. I remember the last inter-sport that was done. We have a forum where all the years look for one project or the other to do in a year, providing seats, providing better classroom, equipping a laboratory, at least with the God and blessings that we've had. And that one way or the other has been sustaining that particular school, if I must say. Government is doing their part, but you hear that a lot of gap are actually there. It speaks volume to the way our leaders who benefited from free education is handling education these days. While we are growing up, we have private schools there, but not as pronounced as what we have currently. But despite that, we have the high number and the surge in the private school. You still have a lot of people who are in public school, because when you put the proportion together, I'm sure you'll be talking of maybe 70-30. A lot of people still attend public school because they cannot. How many people can afford to pay per term? 300,000, 500,000, half a million. What is, when you put the minimum wage of a parent, when we say 85,000 for state that have started paying, if you put 85,000 to 1 year, that's just $1 million plus. So if you are going to pay per term 300,000, that means all your salary will be embedded in paying a child's school fees. a child school fee.
And you have them
so
three.
then we have
Yeah.
two,
Okay.
three
Yes.
as a so I think the leaders need to have reorientation of mind. In as much as we continue to say we pay attention to education, we are not getting value that is expected. It's either the government is making those funds available and individuals are diverting it down, like some of the things we've been saying, or it is just a mere word of mouth. Those funds are not even readily available to develop some of those schools, because we've seen instances where some of these schools are actually taken from the rightful owner, who I will call some of these churches
yeah.
and the likes, and government will take responsibility. But we are
not
today
able to manage it because the unity schools, okay, that's been mentioned here. Coincidentally, King's College is a unity school.
Yeah.
It's just similar to the federal government college in wherever it is they are. It's just that this is more like an exceptional unity school. Okay, of all unity schools,
of course.
Yes, yeah. But let's take a look at the commercialization of school. It got worse when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu raised the ante, took unity schools from 25,000 that students used to pay to 100,000 naira. I do not know how much it is now, but don't you think these are some of the things we're talking about when leaders who benefited? President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 1975 or so, made his way to the United States where he studied accountancy. He would not have had that opportunity if there wasn't the leverage. There wasn't someone to support him. How then is it that he has come and he's making things worse than it was before?
Yeah, I would say in the aspect of increasing the fee, do we have justification for it? Some will tell you yes, because the cost of things are not just the same as it used to be those days. But do we get the commensurate value for what we are paying for? That is the area we should address. I will continue to tell everyone that things are not the way it used to be, but do we still get the same value expected even when there is increase? Just like we're saying behind the scene this morning, there seems to be a serious increase in the tariff of electricity, and it's to augment the fact that you enjoyed the supply as expected, most especially those of us in Band A. But we've been having epileptic supply in the last few weeks,
yes.
and nobody is asking questions. And it is still at that same rate. And part of the things they made us understand as at that period is that when you're unable to fulfill that obligation, definitely you can be downgraded.
Yes.
But when you are moved up, you've been sustained there, nobody is asking questions. So it's to say, fine, you can have justification for increase in the cost of things that you are doing, but do we have commensurate value even when you increase the cost to what is expected? And if there are failures, how do we punish those that are supposed to make those things available that they are not availing it? These are areas we need to do. It's quite disheartening that education that we should take with all priority, because if you don't train them, don't blame them. A lot of people who are actually making waves out there benefited from this. So if a child is supposed to be in school, because of the inconducive atmosphere of the school is not there, so how do you expect him to study? A lot of us benefited from free books. Yeah. As in the writing materials, the textbook. I try to picture the way our exercise book was there. Yeah. You will see the map of Lagos State, and they will put Lagos State government. It's one ash book like that. You'll see 2A, you'll see 2D.
Every time you
are given, you come in, and you have textbooks as high as this writing, writing method of those days, where you learn those handwriting. I'll ask people these days, you are complaining that a child do not have good handwriting. A lot of us have those fancy, which I'm proud of. We have those good handwriting because we'll learn it. You have an handwritten, a textbook, and you have like a book like 2D, where you have the red line, you have you know where to go on,
practice and all of that.
But these days, do we still have such? The answer is no. All we want is that a lot of people want to speak the phonetic that is not there without having commensurate value. And when some people write for you, it's as if I don't want to tell the profession that actually make those kind of handwriting.
Doctors actually.
Well, they write. You take the document back to them. They get confused of what they themselves have written, and we don't want to grow people like that. It's quite disheartening that we are not taking the education, giving it the value that is expected of it as leaders.
Yeah, very, very true. Sometimes I just sit back and wonder, you know, if Pa Obafemi Awolowo was to still be with us, what he would think, you know, knowing what he started and how it is today and how that we are running it today. It's so actually
not that alone. Let me just interject. He looks at a certain set of people that claimed to be following his footsteps and are actually widening the vision that he actually created. It's disheartening. I think I would still say maybe in Lagos we'll try a little bit. You still have some of these schools that are being, you know, during the last administration when you have this woman as the commissioner. I don't know if she's still the commissioner. I think Ms. Adefioye, a very passionate woman, saying how those public schools can be revamped. I don't know the state at which it is now, whether she's still the one. But then there were a lot of schools that was being rehabilitated and put back to the. But I just want to say that if indeed there is anything Baba Jakonde, a lot of us remember him for, is the privilege that he gave, the equality. That's where equality comes from, but that he gives to every one of us to play at the league at which we may not have been able to play if not for that opportunity. And the leaders of today must do that. These days, it's everywhere private. Are they dishing out the quality that is expected?
Well, they have seen the lacuna and noticed that the public schools are not doing as much as they could, so they have to come in to do what they should do. But let's take a look at Daily Trust newspaper and just straight to our talking point. 2027 Tinubu re-election campaign kicks off in the northern part of Nigeria. And we have a rider here. El Rufai meets Adegbeshola Bakari in Lagos and equally Atiku in Abuja. The president's son, that Seyi Tinubu, intensifies Ramadan visit. And if you had seen that, you know, we saw the president's son, you know, dining with the what's the name of this man that was always in charge of mediating peace between bandits and the government?
Shakara.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it the Shakara should be the bandit himself?
Okay, the bandit. Gumi.
Yes.
Yeah, Gumi.
Yes.
Gumi.
So it was seen the viral video of him, and people were wondering what is happening here. Now, 2027, unfortunately, my question is, why is it that Nigerian leaders consciously do not want to think in line with people like Nelson Mandela that worked, paid the price, tears, sweat and blood, 20-something years in prison for South Africa. He came up, they gave him the opportunity of leading the country. He said he was only satisfied with just one term, 4 years. And that 4 years he was able to unite people, build the little infrastructure he could build because of his persona. Economically, South Africa was out there. And just after 4 years, he said he wasn't doing again. Why is it difficult for our leaders to follow that footstep?
Yeah, everyone will not be Nelson Mandela. And you see a lot of people coming to tell you that just give me the first 4 terms and I'll be out. But when they get in there, they let you understand. Because I would say that it is not about the service we claim that we offer to the citizen. It's about how we'll suddenly raise the bar in terms of what we acquire to ourselves.
Who raises the bar now? Is it
the politicians?
The leaders, okay.
Yeah, the politicians. And I'll come to be able to say, I've asked myself, before Mr. President became president, what is actually the work you can identify? We're made to understand that it's into media and advertising, and this philanthropist act, I think it should be on the part of the father, not him. He's only playing to the gallery to say, well, there are political ambition on his path to see how people can see how magnanimous he is and philanthropic he is to see what he's actually doing. Because a lot of some of those things, we ask ourselves the question, do we have a seat like we have for First Lady, for the first son of Mr. President, you know, going around and doing all those things? The work of the father should speak for you. Mingling, we've started saying that, and we said it that 2025, 2026 will be a more of relaxed atmosphere where you see the politician that we could not have access to in the last 1.5 years, now coming closer because
us.
you start preparation for 2027 by now. But I feel that much more than what we're doing now, the impact is not being felt, universally in the country. It's been so it's where you go, people feel the impact. But what do you leave after moving out of the place? They just enjoy it for a little while. And that's what we say, can we have a central way of actually allowing everybody? I read in one of the dailies this morning where they said the multidimensional poverty has increased to about 129 million. Where did you meet it? Where, a friend will always say one thing, that a leader will always be remembered for the problem you created and the one you're able to solve. Have you sat down to analyze to say, this is where I met this issue? We know where we met the economic situation, whether window dressing, whether reality, we know where you met it, we know where it is now. And what effort are we doing to make sure that an average person have that issue? So enough of we going. And that's one thing Nigerians forget easily. A lot of people that they have actually abused, there are now, people are just opposing things to see where it will favor them for 2027. So you discover that when you say call to service, it is not about call to service. It's about call to I'm able to make myself and my family much more better in order to possibly, impoverish people the more. And it is our system that is actually encouraging that.
Yeah, but do you think realistically, is 4 years too small for a leader to turn around a moribund economy, a moribund system?
If you ask me, 4 years is not really too small. It's a function of your preparedness before assumption of office. I have the privilege to have led a district society in my institute. And in my institute, we practice 1 year presidency. So what that connotes is that you would have been part of the system, and it's expected of you to have been working out a modality. You discover that 1 year, a lot of people don't do anything.
It's true.
Either as chairman or as president. They come and just look for a way to plug into one activities, and the next thing you see is that before you open your eyes, the 1 year is over. Somebody was calling me to say, I can't believe that in the next 2 months I'll be handing over. I went to get.
Can't even remember when he came
in because you did not prepare, and that's part of the problem we see with some of our leaders. It's not about rhetorics of the writing of the speech by the speech writer. It's about what you have. And I made bold to say that my 1 year as a chairman of that particular district was impactful. People still tell you that the standard you actually lead for that, because I started the preparedness like 3 years into it, because you have a progression of what it looks like. We might say in the political space it's not like that, but if you have understanding of what leadership is all about, you start preparing yourself of some of the deliverables you give to the people. If after 4 years it is just 1 or 2 things you're able to address and you are remembered for, it's enough. Rather than you coming to feel that you can solve the whole problem. If you solve that first problem and you create a sustainability plan for that to continue, the next person coming in will not go that route. He will look for additional to do to make sure that he actually created value in addition to what you have. But what we do is that we just do something that is only for that period that will be remembered for. I remember when I came in, I changed the dynamics of things by introducing technology into the way members register. And that opened eyes of several other districts to do that particular thing. But I pioneered it as a person, and today my district benefits so much in terms of when there are registration, they have the largest number because of the ease of doing it. You don't need to call on anyone. So it's a matter of planning before you assumed office and be able to have a follow through. There will definitely be distraction in the course of delivering some of those things, but you must remain focused. Set your eyes on the ball and you'll be able to. So I can tell you that if indeed one is prepared, 4 years is enough to make your mark. You can't solve the whole problem even within 80 years. Do your 4 years, make your mark. Even if it's out of 10, you're able to create 2 and people get value for it, and you create a sustainability plan. That's what we lack. You discover that this person will finish this administration, the roads they claim they repair does not even outlive them. Awolowo never did that.
Yes.
I know a lot of roads created years back that if you still go to those roads today, you will see the thickness of the asphalt and the quality of what done, 70s.
Yes,
is
even
that
jump on this road till today. There are so many of those, inner
roads that till today are still very of good quality. Yes. So it's about you not coming to tell us that we've done so much roads, and those roads cannot even outlive your administration. What you're saying is that as you are finishing, the next person should come and create, repair the roads that you have fixed. Those are areas our leaders should start addressing and looking into. For me, if you are well prepared for the position, do your 4 years, go back. Let it be. I will always say, let it be. People advocating, and I don't mean the elite surrounding you because of what they want to benefit. I remembered when Fashola had his first 4 years in Lagos. I'm sure you know. People advocated for him to come back the second time.
Fashola or Ambody? Who?
Fashola.
Okay.
It was at that point they were even saying that they were not giving me a return ticket. Yeah. And people were like, don't worry, leave that party. You have a platform to ride on because the people love your deliverable. And that earned him a seat, even at the federal level, of becoming a minister to handle 3 portfolios. Is to tell you that people are actually watching what you're doing. And it speaks volume after your exit.
Yes, and of course, I could not forget Ambody himself. For 4 years, this man did so awesomely well. In fact, there are some state governors, if you add 16 years of 2 leaders, what Ambody did in Lagos in 4 years is far more than what most of them have done.
Of course, I'll give credit to him. If you go to the island, the man brought a different face to a roundabout. And I'm like, this looks more like an international environment.
From Agege to
Maryland, to Bega,
it's
a lot of things. Yeah, it is quite laudable. And those things still speaks volume till today. But part of the things we have said is that how much do we look for way to sustain some of the things that we are doing in terms of the administration coming on board. Some of the bridges it created, I will give credit. Look at the bridge at Bega.
Yes.
It solved a lot of problems, taking off lives of people that are crossing here and there. Every day you see that being jam-packed. Yeah. Look at the multi-faceted park it created at Oshodi. There is no continuity of that particular, but the vision was to actually take off pressure and have a shuttle from the airport to that particular place, centrally connect yourself. And that's what we do. That's what we see each time we travel.
But how about Visionscape? Because it's one subject lots of Lagosians love to run away from. He brought Visionscape with the aim of really sanitation in Lagos and on all world. Because when tourists come to a city like Lagos, they are often disappointed. Open drainages, everything just messed up, black spot all over the place. Now, how do you think a leader can appease to the lives or the ego of stakeholders and at the same time doing his job? Because that's what cost Ambody his job. Visionscape and the PSP issue.
Yeah, you need, when it comes to politics, there are ways you try to balance act. Doing your work and also making the stakeholders to have a buy-in. The first question there is that scrapping PSP to give room only for VSP was too suspicious for people to be. You can't take off food from people and think they won't react. It's not going to be possible.
Even when the food itself is dangerous to the system.
What you would have come out to do is to look for a way to integrate them into the plan that you say. In my dialect, they will say somebody that will not allow you to eat belly food. Make sure that you have his own portion in what you are preparing. And I think that's the wisdom, which I believe he has learned his lesson. You can't underestimate the power of some of these political stakeholders in the game that they are actually playing for you. So when you are actually planning some of those things, how do we have the existing structure being integrated into your own plans? That is just like you are bringing in technology and you are going to take off a lot of people that do not have understanding of technology. What you should do is that you should start inculcating the habit of learning those game that you are going to. So if somebody is caught in the net of not following the trade, you would have given an opportunity to the person that you have been sent for training to learn this, to, even though they don't know that was what is will be the end of it, and there will be justification. So in everything, you see, politics is about having a win-win situation in all that we're doing. And I know you cannot holistically carry everybody along, but there are certain stakeholders. You don't jettison a system you consider, that you can look at way of, enhancing the deliverable of that existing structure, not relegating it and bringing. There will be an undertone. You know the way people react. Once you come with a vision, everybody believes that you have a buy-in. I remember that particular stake that I actually said I introduced. A lot of people behind the scene thought I have a stake in it, and they are like, no, it won't work. In fact, there was one that was about to introduce, and people said, no, kill it. But years back after my exit, they tried to launch into that particular thing, and I looked at them to like, why kill a good vision for personal gain? Now you are seeking attention to get that particular thing. So it's about having a buy-in of other stakeholders, and most especially those that will cost you that particular thing that you want to do. And once you have their buy-in, definitely everybody will shift ground. Just like part of the things we have in the headlines today. I have been part of the people that said, when you take a political office, you must understand the politicking. Otherwise, you have yourself shot on the foot. And that's what we've seen now happening in Rivers State. The end is what people like us don't know, because the political solution we're seeing come to bear now, after you have tested the water in the court of competent jurisdiction, is to say, will I have done it better, seeking political way of resolving this matter, or the path I have told is the right thing? There's always a price for everything, because now you have empowered and emboldened the other party.
Yeah, the other party. They have all the cards.
All the cards now. So they dictate, and they will like remind you, we are playing this card again. Remember how you actually, how you dealt with and even when they are playing the dirty cards, you just want to just give in and say, well, whatever you have. So when you are going into political office, you must understand the politicking therein to make sure that there is a win-win situation, and understand those stakeholders that can actually put, in my local area, in our street language, who can put sand inside your garage, because it will be difficult for you to see and achieve that which you have actually set out to give to the people as a citizen of the state you are living.
Very, very true. And one would wonder, in the 80s, we had the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies in Kuru, Jos Plateau State, which was set up by the military government, I would love to believe. And the reason I thought they did that was to, of course, since the whole world frowned at their system of government, they created a medium that can train civilians on how to better lead. Unfortunately, LEAPS, I don't know if they even regard it as anything any longer.
No, LEAPS still exists. Actually, they just resumed for another site, which I have maybe 3 or 4 of my friends who had opportunity to be part of the new intakes.
But does it still carry that lush, that panache?
It does. But you ask yourself, what room do you give to those people to impact in the governance? It's about, this is my idea, and everybody's ideas are being jettisoned. Even when they make some of those pronouncements on social media and write to the government on things that needs to be done, it's about the person that is leading. And that's why you see a lot of people saying that there is no inclusiveness in governance that you're doing. It's about you, and you don't welcome other people. And NIPS is still there, and I can tell you that they chunk out quality leaders, that you ask yourself that if this group of or set of people that are actually being graduated come out with the knowledge they have acquired, we won't be where we are. But a lot of them come back, they want to reintegrate some of the things they've learned into the system, but they don't have the opportunity, because it's either they are not, until we start taking off this idea of saying you have to have a political alliance. That's when I can listen to you. It's about bring up your ideas. Let's see how we can bring your innovation, your initiative. That thing costs a lot of money, because they travel to learn, even from other climes, their needs of leadership, and they bring that into what they are doing. But most of the time when they come out, you don't give them that opportunity to execute what they have learned. It's not like sending a boy to secondary school or even university to learn something, and there is no work for him to exhibit that. After 2-3 years, they forget all the thing he's been taught, because there is nothing as practicalizing that which you have learned. Even when you have some practical session for a small set of people, but when you do it on a larger scale, you will be able to give feedback to say, okay, this that we have actually tested, my research showed that we can actually improve in this area with larger scale, because what you have with minimal number of people is different from when you're actually giving that to a larger set of people. So you'll be able to go back to your drawing board and make your inference, deduce your conclusion to say this is the path and the route to go. But most of the time it works in the small space where those ideas are actually incubated and executed. But when it comes to the public space, there is no room for them to penetrate. Even the MNIs, do they give their fellow MNI the opportunity when they are actually in power to actually carry out some of the things that they know? Because it's from all walks of life that they're actually being brought together. So you know that this person's strength is in accounting, this person's strength is in public relations, this person's strength. So can you integrate them into an area where they can infuse their idea based on the things that they have learned? And I can tell you it will be greater for it. We still have it functional, and a lot of educational institutions like that where leaders are grouped. But it's one thing for you to learn, it's another thing for you to practicalize. It's just like somebody going to the school of journalism without visiting a studio to actually, or having a studio there,
house,
where it can actually practice some of the things. After a little while, he forgets it, and it becomes nothing.
The truth remains, in Nigeria, we do not have a shortfall of great thinkers. That is not the problem we have. Rather, what we have is a shortfall of doers and people who are there to make things happen. That's just about the time we have for this segment. Love to say thank you to you very well, Sheson Okwante, for being part of our show today.
Thank you very much for having me to start the week.
Thank you. All right, people. When we return, Fubara bows to pressure, invites 27 pro-wiki lawmakers for a talk. That in a beat, Still Enterprise Morning. Please don't go anywhere.